At exactly 3 a.m., a loud crash ripped through the silence of the Riley family home. Jackson Riley woke up instantly. The sound wasn't a dream. Someone had broken to the front door. Then he heard his mother's frightened voice from downstairs, followed by the terrified cry of his young daughter Katie. For a few seconds, everything went silent. Then came the sound of heavy boots, flashlights cutting to the darkness, and unfamiliar voices moving through his house. "Open up. We're from the Homeowners Association." Jackson's son, Andy, couldn't believe what he was hearing. HOA officers? At 3 a.m, breaking into their home with weapons? Something was wrong. But Jackson Riley wasn't an ordinary homeowner. He was a retired Navy SEAL who had spent 2 decades facing dangerous situations around the world. He didn't panic. He didn't shout. He calmly got out of bed, grabbed his shotgun, and moved toward the staircase. At the bottom of the stairs stood 3 men wearing military-style clothing. One of them had a cheap-looking badge attached to his vest. "You are trespassing," Jackson said calmly. "You're not law enforcement. Leave my house now." The men laughed. "We're HOA enforcement. You have unpaid violations and unresolved fines." Jackson looked at the papers they were holding. The documents looked fake. The badge looked fake. Everything about them screamed deception. "You broke into my home in the middle of the night," Jackson said. "There are children upstairs. Turn around and walk away." But the men ignored him. One of them stepped forward and pulled out a stun device. Before Jackson could react, the device fired. Electric wires struck his chest, sending a painful shock through his body. He dropped to one knee, and his shotgun hit the floor. From upstairs, Andy watched everything. At first, he felt fear. Then that fear turned into anger. Someone had attacked his father inside their own home. Andy quietly grabbed his phone and called 911. "They aren't real officers," he whispered. "They broke into our house. My dad has been attacked. Please hurry." Meanwhile, the fake HOA officers moved through the house like they owned it. They searched rooms, opened closets, and threw around family belongings. Then one of them kicked Dusty's food bowl, sending it across the floor. Dusty, the family's German shepherd, stepped forward and growled. The man laughed and kicked again. That was the moment everything changed. This was no longer about fake HOA fees or paperwork. This was about his family. This was about people using fake authority to terrorize innocent people. Jackson slowly stood back up. The pain was still there, but his focus had returned. He looked at the 3 men and realized one thing. They had chosen the wrong house. One of the men approached him with plastic restraints, thinking Jackson had already surrendered. He was wrong. Jackson raised a shotgun and fired a warning shot into the ceiling. The explosion shook the entire house. The fake officers immediately panicked. The men who had been acting powerful moments earlier were suddenly terrified. Jackson fired again, hitting the man who had attacked him with the stun device in the leg. The attacker collapsed. The others finally realized their intimidation game was over. They ran. The sound of police sirens soon filled the neighborhood. When real officers arrived, they found Jackson standing in the middle of his living room with his shotgun safely placed on the floor and his hands raised. Officer Taylor recognized him immediately. "Jackson, are you okay?" "My family is safe," Jackson replied. "The threat has been stopped." After investigating, police discovered the truth. These men were not HOA officers. They were former security workers who had created a fake enforcement operation. They used fake badges, fake documents, and fake authority to scare homeowners into paying them money. They had targeted quiet neighborhoods, especially elderly residents who were afraid to fight back. But they made one mistake. They entered Jackson Riley's home. The story quickly spread across the country. News headlines called him everything from a hero to a vigilante. But Jackson ignored the attention. He didn't care about fame. He cared about protecting his family. "I didn't do this to prove a point," Jackson said. "I did it because my family needed me." In court, the evidence against the fake HOA criminals was overwhelming. Fake IDs, forged paperwork, and testimony from multiple victims exposed their entire operation. The judge sentenced them for their crimes. But Jackson never considered himself a hero. He believed he was simply a father doing what any parent would do. After the incident, His wife, Rachel, started an organization to help victims of HOA scams and fake authority schemes. The case also led to stronger rules preventing fake HOA enforcement groups from abusing their power. Weeks later, Jackson spoke at a community meeting. He looked at the crowd and said, "I'm not a hero. I'm a father. A home is supposed to be a place of safety. When someone breaks through your door in the middle of the night and claims power they don't have, they've already made their choice." The room went silent because everyone understood the truth. That night, Jackson Riley didn't just protect his own family. He stopped people who believed fear gave them control over everyone else.